Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Joni Salzman.
Phones have been in a rut for a while, but that might change at MWC. We're expecting a huge number of flagship phones to make a big splash. But more importantly, we're hoping to see more innovative designs. We're talking about foldable phones. I had that scoop on LG coming with a second screen attachment, or what did you call it?
I called it an appendage.
An appendage. Where Oppo's rumored to have an all-screen device with a pop-out camera, a 48 megapixel pop-out camera. Nokia theoretically will show a phone with 5 cameras on the back, and we've talked about the idea of multiple cameras.
5 is not enough.
5 may not be enough. It's gonna be wild. I mean, what do you think? Are you you're a jaded customer of phones, right? Like, what are you hoping to see from one of these crazy designs or products?
Well, I want to know what the appendage actually looks like. Like, that's still a mystery.
My
right?
guess is it's sort of a cover case. I think it'll like flip over and it'll become the cover, and you can sort of fold it out and it'll be 2 screens.
Right.
My guess.
Yeah.
But we're not sure yet. I mean, it's cool that these companies are all taking risks with these phones, because I feel like
they have to, right?
Things have gotten really boring.
Things have gotten really boring. So you have to have like entire backs of phones that are camera arrays or appendages.
I know that's what you want, right? Like 20 cameras.
I don't personally want. I just like the idea of it existing.
There. I mean, we're getting close to it. I mean,
right.
If you looked at that leaked image, it seemed like there were, 5 cameras, but it looked like there were like 6 or 7 different light sensors or whatever, and it just sort of, we're getting there.
What are you excited to see?
I mean, it's an obvious answer, but the foldable phones are the most exciting thing to me. Like the concept video we got from Xiaomi, the tease we got from Samsung. I mean, this stuff looks pretty legit, and I may not want to actually buy one or own one, but just actually using a phone with the foldable display is kind of like that. It's a nice taste of the future.
It is. It's a mind-bending concept.
Exactly.
Mind.
Yeah, I gotcha. Next up, check out our own Scott Stein's commentary on the iPhone SE and why Apple desperately needs to have one in its lineup now. Ultimately, I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? Phone prices have all gone up. The iPhone XR is the budget phone.
And how much is that?
It's $750, I believe, and that's the cheapest alternative. And really, folks are getting the XS, the 10S or the 10S Max, and those are in the $1,000 range.
Yeah.
And Apple has a cheaper alternative, but it means usually going to last year's phone, right? iPhone 8, iPhone 7. So they've got the whole lineup there if you want to save money. But an iPhone SE2 not just is a cheaper phone, but it's like the smaller phone.
Yeah.
Kind of wish we had Alfred on, because he's a big advocate of the small phone for his small hands.
Right.
I have small hands too, actually. I could appreciate it. But
I'm a big advocate of smaller price tags, though.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes. And seeing as I just got an iPhone SE for my father, a refurbished one, because I couldn't get a new one. Like, I definitely would have, if there was a new one in the market, I absolutely would have snapped it up.
And Apple's suffering because of not having that lower end element to its product.
Absolutely.
Like, as you said, you can get the older phone, but like if you're getting a new phone, you don't want to get the older phone.
Exactly. So lastly, Amazon acquired Eero, a maker of mesh Wi-Fi mesh devices.
Mesh Wi-Fi.
All right, mesh Wi-Fi devices. These little simple white pucks. Take us through. What does this mean for Amazon?
Well, it obviously means that Amazon wants to control every possible aspect of your home. Like, already control the smart speaker market with the Echo. Yep. They're going hard on smart televisions and the sense of
Fire TV lineup.
Fire TV lineup, other wall clocks, microwaves. So it makes a lot of sense to have a presence in this popular, up until now, independent maker of kind of next-gen Wi-Fi routers.
I will say, as someone who does suffer from Wi-Fi connectivity issues throughout my home, like, aside from like my office, like, it's all kind of crappy elsewhere. Like, I have looked into these mesh Wi-Fi networks, but there's Google really is the only other viable competitor here, right?
Right.
Google, now Eero, or now Amazon.
Right.
What does that? I mean, what do you think? What does that mean?
Well, I think one of the things that some people are raising as a possible red flag is that now we're at the point where 2 behemoths kind of control the market for this kind of router, and the one that's entering, Amazon. People already have misgivings about how much Amazon knows about them, whether or not. Whatever your take is on how much they're gleaning about your conversations from an Echo, this does mean that they have potentially access to everything you look up on your home Wi-Fi network. So For a company that trades in data on you, that's an interesting thing to consider.
Right. Unfortunately, the only other option is, well, Google.
The other company that trades in all your data. Exactly.
All right. For more coverage on this, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Joni Salzman.
Thanks for listening.
And as always, thank you for joining us for the recording of the audio podcast, which you can subscribe to using the links down below. Reminder to everybody, you can always find our shows here on YouTube, Livestream, and Periscope/Twitter every single day. I know it's getting kind of tricky to find the full shows on YouTube afterwards. We're playing the algorithm game here. Just bear with us for a while as we try to get our footing under us and figure out exactly how the hell YouTube works, because that's going to be difficult since YouTube itself doesn't know how it works. In the meantime, send in your questions and comments and keep the conversation going. What are you excited to see at Mobile World Congress? Right now, let's go ahead and take some questions. Shouting out our new fans in Croatia and Brazil. Thank you for joining us. Avanshi is excited about the Razr. Roger?
Oh, the Razr phone. Yeah, that rumor came up, and then it was supposed to have launched already, or it's supposed to launch like now. It's like this like crazy expensive limited edition replica of the old Razr. Not like the Razr smartphone that was the thing for a while, like that old thin
The flip
Razr.
one, right?
The flip phone.
Yeah.
I
I have fond memories of the Razr.
I do too.
I didn't have one, but when I met my husband, my now husband, he had one, and so like he would always be texting me on his Razr.
Yeah,
I don't know, it's silly.
mean, I had it. I loved it. I even for a while I had I put like a white kind of skin on it, so it was different than the other Razrs out there.
Every
Made
other
me
Razr, because it was so
cool.
ubiquitous.
It was for a while. So by the time I gotten it, it was definitely ubiquitous. It wasn't that crazy expensive singular exclusive. It was at that point like at every carrier.
Right.
And yeah, and everyone had it.
That was such a different time.
We don't have any info on that. I've been bugging Verizon about that as well. I know Verizon's sort of the rumored exclusive partner for this phone, but we still haven't gotten any word about that. So sorry.
My girlfriend had a Razr when we first met too, and she proceeded to break it and 2 others following immediately.
Wow.
Yeah. So
usually you're the one breaking the phones.
I try.
Yeah.
That's the thing about articulated phones, man. They're so easy to break. Why
all those moving parts?
Why would we want to have moving parts on phones? Roger going to Mobile World Congress?
Foldable. I don't know. Because it looks cool.
But theoretically, foldable phones would be less breakable, right?
I think that's a big question mark.
Yeah.
Is how do we get to the how do they make these devices strong enough to survive the wear and tear of folding and unfolding constantly? And just an interesting tidbit on that, like the phones that fold outwards, like if the screen's on this side and folds outward like that, that's actually not as bad. It's the inward fold, because the radius of the fold is much more severe. That has a lot more wear and tear.
Oh, interesting.
Which is this is the fold that Samsung has shown off.
Right.
And so we'll see if it'll survive. I mean, time will tell, I guess. I'm sure they've put these through their paces, but like I think a lot of folks I've talked to, the handset makers, they are still concerned about the wear and tear factor.
Right.
So yeah, breakable phones. I mean, it could be like the Razr all over again.
The big trend of Mobile World Congress: breakable phones.
Give it a year, and that'll be Apple's new marketing strategy. They'll turn that into a buzzword.
Right. Maybe.
We got a nice message here from A. Daramsi saying, "Congrats, Roger, on your new position in charge of CNET News. We want to join him in congratulating you." Timothy Dew is asking to bring back the slider phone where they can slide the cameras up and down. Do we see any of that coming down the pipeline?
I don't think we've seen that. I mean, I think the last company to try that was BlackBerry, and that didn't go so well for them. But we are seeing these pop-out phones, like the top half of the phones or the bottom half, I think, depending on how you look at it. They actually pop out, which that also kind of freaks me out because that's like another mechanical part, and and sometimes I don't know if it's spring or if it's like an actual like gizmo, but I feel like that just has a lot of potential for just breaking down again.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry on the sliders. No sliders, though. Sorry.
Like the Sidekick?
Oh, man.
Sidekick was great.
I never had one or knew anyone that really.
I didn't have one, but I just like looked at them with envy. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like the screen slid up and it just, yeah.
I picture like a little tiny baby Roger with like a giant lollipop being like, that sidekick's so cool.
They showed up in like
a long time ago.
every movie from like 2003 or something like that.
Isn't it
until-
funny
Was it?
how like
Was it that? Yeah,
these
yeah.
trends
Those are right
of
around
phones define the like media that is created in that particular moment?
Kinda,
Well,
yeah.
I remember going back to the slider phone conversation.
Yeah.
I remember like the Matrix had that slider phone.
Oh, really?
Like Neo, like it popped out, and Neo was talking out while I was running to get his lifeline out, and it's like, oh, that seems so cool. Of course, I would think that was cool.
All right, let's talk about upgrades. Plenty of people out there stating that they are plenty satisfied with their current mobile situation. However, Ryan says, I just got my S9 Plus last year. Feel like it's already outdated. Will we ever get to a point where we will be happy with our phones for longer than 6 months? I think that's a concept of priority for the developer. Some are working towards that. Some are working very much against that. Apple.
Well, I think all of them are to some extent, right? Like,
I mean, they
Yeah.
want you to buy more. It's business.
well, I would say if you bought an S9 Plus and you're not satisfied, I think that's more of an outlier thing. Like,
Yeah.
if you bought a new phone within like the last year, like you're generally pretty happy with it. Like, if you're unhappy with the S9 Plus, you think it's outdated, you might want to consider another handset maker, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but I would say at this point, and I think this is why all these companies are trying to build out multiple cameras or foldable, because you buy a phone now and it's generally pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Like regardless of who you get, it's kind of complete, has all the apps you probably want. You don't really need a reason to upgrade.
I mean, I'm in that boat. I
Yeah.
work for CNET, and I
Yep.
still have. I haven't upgraded my phone in 3 years. I have an
Yeah.
iPhone 8.
You don't really need to. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah.
From durability to battery life, go ahead and keep listing off your wish list to what you think you're going to, hope you're going to see out of Mobile World Congress, and what phone developers might be doing in the near future. John Smith wants to see more in batteries. Pimpmon.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
When can all smartphones start charging wirelessly? When will that become common instead of just restricted to the more expensive models?
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna come down eventually, but you're right. It's an extra bit of cost. There's actual like physical parts you've got to add to it to make it work. That costs money. And it has mostly been high-end phones, but like you take a look at like OnePlus, and they're a premium phone. They still haven't really incorporated wireless charging. I think when you get to a point where like there are wireless charging stations like everywhere, ubiquitously, like the idea that Starbucks or the airport,
McDonald's.
which you see some of it, but it's not as broad as you'd like it to be. I think then you'll see more folks clamoring for the stuff. But right now, I think it's still kind of the domain of the premium handset market.
That, and there are still people that are kind of afraid of that technology. Am I right?
Not necessarily wireless. Wireless charging as it is now is just basically putting it on the table and having it charge automatically. There is a second layer or second level of wireless charging that goes over the air, and that's the one that I think might freak people out. There's at least one company's gotten FCC approval for it. I believe it's Energis. But it's the idea that like as soon as you walk into the room, there's like a almost like a Wi-Fi modem broadcasting power through radio frequencies, and your phone will start charging. The only issue is it charges super slow.
Right.
Yeah.
But the idea is like if you're just sitting around and it's just charging through the air.
Right. You're
you don't
not
have to worry
draining
about
it. At
Exactly.
least. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
I mean,
but that's
even
the thing
plug-in
that
charging
I think
was slow
that's
in the
what freaks
beginning.
people out, because this is the idea like radio airwaves carrying power is going through your body into your phone. It's a little, that's a little freaky.
I'm glad you brought that up because our friend in the chat, Chris, was just asking about room-wide wireless charging. That's probably, like you said, a still minute off, but that's something I'm very interested in because I often forget to plug in, and then
The technology is there. It's going to take a little while.
Yeah, like all things do. Skylar and Friends is hoping for more unbreakable screens. In the meantime, they say, I'm debating between waiting for the Note 10 or getting the S10 Plus. Do you think the Note 10 is worth the wait?
I mean, it's really hard to say. The Note 10 is like several months away. It'll probably take its design cues from the S10, but it'll have the stylus. So if you absolutely need the stylus, I would say you probably want to wait for the Note 10, but that's probably the big differentiator. At least that's what it was last year. Essentially, it was the S10, but a little bit bigger with the stylus.
Matthew Datcher wants to talk about the iPhone. I agree with the need for the new iPhone SE. Look how fast Apple's fire sale of the remaining stock of the SEs went. He's got a really good point, and I, once again, like you said, wish Alfred was here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just, I mean, there isn't really a budget phone option, and that's kind of by design. Apple doesn't want to be
Right.
seen as a budget company, but there are a lot of folks who are, fans of Apple who just can't afford these prices, and so
Yeah.
they're leaving some money on the table here.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right on that one. That they've slated themselves as such a consumer premium type position that they're alienating some of their former audience.
Right.
Mike Shaw says, when is the NSA phone and smart speaker coming out?
I don't. Yeah.
I thought you'd have a better response to
I'm
that.
sorry. I know. I totally choked.
I could have done that.
Yeah. I know,
Not even
like,
Roger. I
meh,
could have gone,
meh? I don't know. But that's a great idea. No, it's not a great idea. It's a terrible idea.
Marcus Tube 80, do you think phone service companies will ever go back to the old selling model, like paying $200 for the phone and then signing a 2-year contract for service?
Oh, the old subsidy model?
Yep.
No, I think we're kind of gone from that. I mean, I think it's a good thing ultimately. Just under the old model, even if you were essentially like paid off the phone, you were still paying that higher wireless bill, so it wasn't a great deal for you. So the idea of separating it gives you a little bit more visibility on what you're actually paying for the service versus the phone.
Right.
Michael Moloch is talking about size of the phone as well. They're just becoming too bulky and cumbersome. I want to read this comment from Grumman Pilot 99. Get rid of the glass backs and hopefully the glass screen. Just go back to metal. That's my new favorite
I would like
comment.
to see a metal front screen. That would just be just like this piece of like sheet of metal. Just like, all right. Goes back to that no phone that I had, that mock
Right.
3D printed plastic phone that's not a phone, but
I want that phone. As someone who purchases a phone specifically on its durability to see if it can survive a throw through the wall, for the record, the Galaxy S8 Active does. Yeah, I want that phone, the metal phone, but only if the ringtone is permanently locked as the Metal Mario theme from Nintendo 64.
Can you get, how about a few bars?
Really?
I don't know what that one
How
is.
about a few
Sorry,
bars for
man.
us?
No, we'll probably get a copyright claim.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to do
I'm
that.
sure that your skills as a singer aren't so great that we would get a copyright claim.
No, let's not go down that path. Anybody who knows that joke knows what I'm talking about. All right, let's talk about mesh real quick. We got just a few minutes left. Plenty of people are talking about other providers for mesh Wi-Fi systems. There are plenty of fantastic providers out there. We were just focusing on the fact that Amazon made this acquisition seemingly out of nowhere today.
There are a bunch of smaller ones.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing. Like if you're just going into like a Best Buy, like the big ones are now Google and Amazon. So yes, you're right. There are definitely smaller options out there, but they're usually from companies that, unless you've done your research, you've probably never heard of.
Timothy Dew, why spend more money on mesh Wi-Fi in the first place? You need to buy a top-of-the-line Wi-Fi router, which covers just 2,000 plus square feet. If you've already got that, people are pointing out that if you got like concrete walls, dense walls, brick walls, that kind of thing, multiple layers to your home, that's where the mesh comes in real handy. I live in a tiny little apartment, so I got one Wi-Fi router, and I'm pretty much satisfied. Hell, it reaches out to my backyard. So, but for those of us who have, I don't know if you live, I have a patio kind of thing.
Okay.
But for those who have, live in a concrete bunker, I guess mesh Wi-Fi would be real
Or in
handy.
a dorm. I mean, that's not,
a
dorm people aren't homeowners, but like, yeah.
Well, I mean, like I live in an apartment too, but it's the room at like sort of the other end of where the modem is. There are a couple of layers of fairly thick walls that.
And it's stretching just far enough where it's spotty
like
at
the
best.
reception's kind of iffy. Like I could actually stand to benefit from one of these things.
Yeah. So what do you run, Roger?
In terms of
What is your Wi-Fi? I mean, not provider, but
I just use
hardware.
I just use the stock modem that. Well, no, that's not true. I have the Verizon FiOS modem that they gave me, and I have that connected to a Apple Airport.
Oh, okay. So you do have a little bit of a relay there.
Yes. Yeah.
Joan, what about you?
I actually don't know. I need to replace mine because I just have.
Is it like your own, or is it just like one cable? Or
I don't even remember because we installed it so long ago. I've been in the same apartment for like 13 years. I can't remember when we set up. I need to. I don't even know. This is a good opportunity.
You also might want to call your provider to see if the modem has been upgraded since.
It hasn't. It needs to be.
Oh yeah.
It needs to be.
Because it's probably a lot
I'm feeling
slower
some pain
than,
too. I'm feeling some pain. It hasn't been upgraded. I'm making
know.
myself sound like a real like Luddite because I'm like, I haven't upgraded my phone in 3 years. I love my Wi-Fi router from 2004.
To be fair, dealing with the cable company to get
Right.
a new modem is that's really kind of a terrible experience. So
Right.
yeah.
This is a good reminder that I should just bite the bullet and
Yep.
get it fixed.
Or continue to be a smart consumer and
I don't know
not
if it
blow
makes
your
me a
money.
smart consumer though, because
No, some of these providers
they charge you for these.
you're paying for
modems
it,
and
and the
routers.
upgrades are usually free. They just swap it
Yeah.
out. So because you're paying like $3 or $4 a month for it anyway,
Right.
so you might as well get the latest one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever you do upgrade, I want a full testimonial, Joan. I want to see your filmed reaction of like tears streaming down your face. Like, what have I been missing?
Like no, like I'm at hour 5, like waiting for the cable
Right.
guy to show up.
Right.
I'm so angry right now.
Right. More likely. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, just talking about Wi-Fi or not Wi-Fi, data plans again here in the U.S. Since we were talking about iPhone SE and everything like that and contracts. Ryan, who's from Canada, what's up? Buffalo. What are plans like in the States? He has the accessibility for those, the aforementioned like tiered plan, $200 down kind of thing still in Canada. Here, it sucks.
Yeah, it's all over the place. I mean,
You loan your soul.
most of the major carriers have unlimited plans now, unlimited, but they all have fine print to them. And yeah, it's less about almost data now. It's more about like the weird perks that get like AT&T has like an option where you could add HBO or something. So it's kind of weird here now because it's not even about the service. It's almost about like, here are the weird freebies. Not weird. Here are the freebies that we're
Yeah.
throwing on top of your service. So
I
stay
mean,
with us.
we are the cereal box toy generation.
Kind
So
of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Happy Meal toy generation.
Yeah. And I feel like it makes it even more confusing to comparison shop in a way. Like ultimately, I think a lot of people, ultimately the biggest factor is the bottom line price that you're going to be paying.
Price and coverage are basically the two big ones.
Right.
Yep.
But then like it just creates more noise if you're like, oh, well, my Netflix will get like subsidized by T-Mobile, but I could get this if I want to do that, you know?
Exactly.
So I think it can
And
just
they're
add
not,
up to
and none of
confusion.
them really line up exactly, so
Right.
you can't get a good apples to apples
Right.
comparison.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, everybody understands freebies and goodie bags, but not everybody fully understands the functionality of the technology at its core. Unless you follow shows like the 359 podcast, where we
People
can.
are already listening. This
No, that's good. Keep promoting. It's good. It's good.
It's
That's
actually
gold, Brian. Gold.
that's actually the perfect place for us to end the show today. We are out of time, so thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks as always for your excellent contributions and eye-opening experiences. Make sure you subscribe and tell your friends. And Roger, get us on out of here.
Yeah, the 359 is available on iTunes, TuneIn, FeedBurner, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Google Podcast, the Amazon Echo, and of course, CNET.com. I screwed that up. I don't know how I screwed up our name, but whatever. See y'all tomorrow.
Bye, folks.